WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment is Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks. Good morning to you, Michael. How are you, sir?
Grayson, good morning. I am wonderful. It's a warm one today, but happy to be up and out.
Absolutely, and hopefully you had yourself a nice weekend, and folks out there did as well, staying cool to the best of our ability, but lovely weather, really, and it feels like summer here in Illinois. So hopefully folks will stay cool out there as well. Well, we've got a lot to talk about and to dive into here, and the first one, or the first topic that we'd like to talk is about earning interest income. You gave me a large dollar amount, and I think it's certainly worth noting. I'd love to hear more about it. Michael, what about earning interest income is so important to your office and what you do as a whole?
Yeah, well, one, it's my job. I'm the chief investment officer. My job to make money for the state. But it's important, not just my job, but because we know that every dollar we can earn in interest income is a dollar that doesn't have to be raised in taxes or a dollar that doesn't have to be cut for important things like our schools, our roads, and bridges. So we take that very seriously. We've had higher interest rate environments. We had low interest rate environments, but we're always looking to maximize our return. And just recently, we passed a milestone. We have made over $5 billion for the state of Illinois since taking this office.
I think it's a wonderful bit of news, especially in light of a recent budget passing, where I think people are just more concerned about dollar amounts and what's left on the table. And I think it's a huge deal in that regard. How does that kind of work? If you could explain it in layman's terms, how does that investment make its way back to not only your office, but the state? If you would kind of just run us through the process as somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about that process.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different state funds. And some of them, like the general fund, is large and money comes in and it goes out. But some of these funds are building up fund balances. And while they're building up, we invest that money to make more. Everyone understands that we pay gas taxes throughout the year, but in the winter, road construction is shut down. So money is coming into the state. We invest that, make more, and so that more money can be spent repairing our roads and our bridges. It's an important part of this job. It's something that, to put into perspective, the General Assembly, raises money from a lot of different revenue sources. Last year, we brought in about $1.5 billion to the state. That's more money than the General Assembly brings in from the lottery, more money than they bring in from cannabis taxes. It's more money that came into the state from gaming revenue. So it's a significant source of revenue, and at a time of tough budgets, when you have to make decisions about raising revenue or cutting things, if we can bring in some found money and interest income, that's something they very much appreciate, and it's something we're happy to do. I don't pass the budget. I can't solve all the state's budget problems, but I can be part of the solution, and that's what we try to focus on.
And I love that we're able to focus on it now, because you mentioned three things that I would certainly, in my mind's mind, think would have been a higher source of revenue, whether it was the gaming, whether it was the lottery, or whether it was cannabis. I would have thought more than likely total that might have been more. So I think that really puts it into perspective here, how much money that was accrued and was built up, and compare that to something that I would have thought maybe would have bested it. So earlier you had mentioned to me that it's been $8 billion total dollars. So $5 billion towards the state, yes, and there's a $3 billion piece in there as well. What can you tell me on that?
So I invest the state's money, and that's the $5 billion in income. But we also invest money for local units of government. So your counties, your towns, your villages, your cities, library boards, school districts who have fund reserves can give their money to the treasurer's office. We pool all of that money, and then we make investments on their behalf and to return them a higher rate of return than they could probably get parking it in a local bank in a CD. So we have made over $3 billion for local units of government. And these local units of government frequently raise their money through property taxes. So every dollar we can earn from interest on their money is a dollar that doesn't have to be raised in property taxes. Once again, it's something I hear from people all the time. What can we do to lower property taxes in the state? I'm not in charge of setting local budgets. I'm not in charge of transferring money or deciding what money goes to local governments. But I do know that if we can help them earn more money, we can reduce the need for property tax increases. Once again, the treasurer can't solve all the problems of the state, but that doesn't mean we don't want to be part of the solution.
To me, it must feel pretty good to see an $8 billion amount and know that that's $8 billion in taxpayer savings potentially. I have to feel that you feel pretty good about that number there, and definitely should. On the front of earning,
I do, but we're not done.
Sure.
Our next goal is $10 billion into the state, and we hope within the next year or so to eclipse that milestone.
$1.5 billion as of the last year. I think we're well on our way then, and it's always good to know that more work is needed to be done, but you're making the right first steps, and big first steps when it comes to $8 billion total dollars. Anything else, Michael, when it comes to earning interest income on the state level or the local government level? Anything else when it comes to earning interest income in Illinois?
Yeah, I just need to say thank you to members of the General Assembly. We came in and we made changes. We've increased our annual average weighted maturity. That's helped us to earn more interest income. But we also went to the General Assembly and asked permission to invest in different things. General Assembly limits where I can make investments. They don't like risk, but I've found some examples where we're not taking much risk at all, but we can earn a higher rate of return and convince them that they would like to have more money from the state. So by working with the General Assembly, by convincing them to give me greater authority, we have made more money.
Are you able
to? In this business, we get more done working with other people than we do working by ourselves.
Most definitely. I'm wondering, are you able to tell us what the rate of return generally is when it comes to an investment made by your office?
Yeah, so I need to tell people that we don't invest in the stock market. For anyone worried about recent market turbulence this year and what that means for state returns, the General Assembly thinks that investing directly into the stock market is too risky. So we invest in things like bonds and money markets and U.S. Treasuries and a big combination. We want to be diversified with where we're making investments. But we're averaging right now somewhere around 4.5%. We hit a high of around 5%. I think when I came into office, the return for the state was less than 0.5%. Now, part of that has to do with the federal government and the lower interest rates, and it's made it easier to get higher returns with higher interest rates, but also because we've done things differently. We've invested in different things. We've increased the amount of time we invest, and we've had more money to invest. We're getting significantly greater returns.
That is fantastic. When I think a 0.5 percentage point of return, now up to maybe 4.5 to 5%, and it's low risk. That's another thing that stands out to me, that it's a good gain, but it's also low risk. We're not out there, hoping for the best with the stock markets or anything like that. So a few very big takeaways for myself here, and I appreciate you kind of explaining that for us a little bit. We'll say common folk like myself, because $8 billion, we hear all these we hear all these dollar amounts all the time, and it's really nice to understand and know a little bit more about how that comes about. Michael, on a different front, a few months back, we were talking about Purple Heart medals and getting these back to those that belong, or into the hands of those that they belong with. And you've recently returned another Purple Heart medals. What can you tell me there?
Yeah, we were excited. The last time we talked, we returned one to the son of a veteran who had moved out of state to Georgia. And just about a week and a half ago, I was able to return one to the grandson of a World War II veteran in Geneva, Illinois. I do a lot of really fun things in this office, but one of the most rewarding, most humbling experiences is returning these military medals to their rightful owner or their loved ones. People who went off and served our country and died or were injured and earned one of the highest medals we give out, the Purple Heart, they frequently come back and they value these things. They don't want them stolen. They don't want them to burn up in a house fire. And so they put them in a bank safe deposit box. And too often, someone passes away and people don't know about them. They come into our possession, and then it's my job to take them out of our cold vault and put them in the warm hands of family members.
I like that. I like that. And two that have already been done recently, and was told also that we've got more in the works, and that it seems like that is a big focal point for you, and I very much appreciate it on this end. Joining us now in studio, or I should say by phone, is Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks. And we're here on the WTIM Morning Show, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. We'll come back around. We'll talk more unclaimed property and the other programs that are offered as well. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Here's Cousin Bill from Illinois Paving.
Asphalt seal coating season is here. Are you tired of sealing that asphalt driveway every year? Cousin Bill has a polymerized seal that can last much longer using premium grade polymerized asphalt seal coat. It can last so long, you'll get sick of looking at it. This is the same stuff that we use on our state and federal jobs. We can machine clean, we can crack fill, hand apply, or spray. Be the envy of the block with a new asphalt seal coat from Illinois Paving. 788-7777.
The big Sandy's rising, sound the alarm.
On the heels of deadly floods, Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia are left devastated. Lives have been lost, homes and businesses swept away, and families are struggling to survive. But in the face of unimaginable loss, there's a way to help. Pike County Flood Relief is there, providing hope where it's needed most. Your tax-deductible donation can help deliver food, shelter, and the support needed to rebuild lives. These families have lost everything, but with your help, they can heal. Go to PikeCountyFloodRelief.org right now to make your donation. Every dollar helps. Every act of kindness counts. Together, we can heal the heart of these communities. Pike County Flood Relief. In their darkest hour, your light can make all the difference.
God deliver us.
Whether you're an experienced investor or a first-time home buyer, Joe Kirby at Kirby Real Estate in Taylorville is here to help you find the property of your dreams. Here's Joe.
As a second-generation realtor and auctioneer and over 20 years of experience in Taylorville, I've seen the ins and outs of every aspect of buying and selling real estate. Year after year, we're a top producer in the area, and Kirby Real Estate has become a staple in the community, known for our longevity and exceptional customer service.
Kirby Real Estate. Experience, trust, community. Call Joe Kirby today.
For over 90 years, one name has stood for excellence in John Deere equipment: Sloan Implement in Taylorville. From spring planting to harvest, Sloan's team helps farmers keep their John Deere equipment running with the parts and service they expect. As one of the world's largest John Deere dealers, they've got the complete line of lawn and garden equipment to mow lawns large or small. This spring, make your farming, lawn, and garden stop at Sloan Implement in Taylorville, your trusted John Deere dealer in Central Illinois since 1931, delivering excellence every time.
Pana schools provide excellence in education and are rooted in the Pana community. Become a part of Panther Pride and find out the great things happening in Pana schools by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across Central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back with more of the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station. Our coverage is brought to you by not only People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, but Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment is Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks. We talked about how the state of Illinois earns interest income and also a recently returned Purple Heart Medal and one just prior to that. We want to continue our conversation about unclaimed property because there's a lot of it, and State Treasurer Frericks is interested in getting that back to you. Unclaimed property wise, what can you tell us on that front, Michael?
Yeah, I'm in charge of returning lost money and lost objects to people in the state of Illinois. Things that are left in a safe deposit box, like a military medal. If no one claims them, they come to us, and it's our job to return them. But much more frequently, it's money that comes in from a financial institution or a corporation. that it's our job to return to people. We are overseeing more than $5 billion in unclaimed property. And we would love to get that money back into your listeners' hands because, one, it's my job. Two, it's fun to give away money. It's like I get to play Santa Claus 365 days a year. And three, we know that we put more money into your listeners' pockets, they've got more money to support your advertisers. You know, when people have found money that they weren't expecting to come in, they're much more likely to take their family out to dinner at a local restaurant. Or maybe they go out and buy something they've had their eye on for a while. And when we get that money being spent in our local economy, circulating through our local communities, it does a lot more good for the state than it does sitting in a bank vault in Springfield.
Well, I'm glad that you are as passionate about getting unclaimed property and dollars back into the hands of Illinoisans as you are, because that's the type of person at the helm that we need. And so on this end, whether it's Purple Heart medals, getting dollars back to you, whatever the case might be, getting it back to those hands is a really good thing. When it comes to the varying programs, and there are a lot of them, one that stands out, and it was a conversation that we'd had a few months back, was about the ABLE program. I'd love to dive into that a little bit more with some time here. What can you let us know about with the ABLE program and how to utilize that?
Yeah, it's a relatively new program. We set it up since taking off. A lot of people know about college savings programs, so 529, Bright Start, Bright Directions. Well, ABLE operates in a very similar way. They both come from the federal government, allowing states to run these programs. ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience, and this is meant for people with disabilities. Too often, if a person with disability was unable to work, if they qualified for federal benefits, or if they weren't able to work full-time, they qualified for these benefits, those benefits would be means tested, which means that they couldn't have more than $2,000 in assets or they would lose their benefits. Well, parents want to leave something more for their children, so someday when they're gone, they'll have something. But they couldn't do that because they'd lose their benefits. And what we did is set up a savings program. You can now save money in ABLE savings account. You can invest it. The growth is tax-free from your federal taxes. But the more important thing is you can save up to $100,000 in an ABLE account without losing your federal benefits. It really will allow parents to give their children with disabilities a better living experience.
I think that's all that they could ask for when it comes to taking care of their loved one moving forward in a future with or without them. That ABLE program, you said that you had started it. Was that in your first term, as I believe you're now in your third term?
Yep. In my first term, we started setting this up. We found it was difficult to find a private sector partner to work with us because lots of these financial firms want to work with us on our college savings because we're big. We now have over $20 billion in assets under management, over 900,000 accounts. This is large amounts of money they can make money off of. But people with disabilities weren't expected to have nearly such large balances or nearly as many accounts. And so a lot of firms said they didn't want to work with us because we were too small. But we found when we called other states, we realized something. They were in the same problem, but that if we worked to get together, we could pool all of the potential accounts, and then collectively, we'd be attractive to the private sector. And so that's what we did. Illinois now leads a coalition of 20 states that has some of the lowest rates in the country, has some of the highest pickup, and it's something I'm very proud of.
And you should be. To do as much as has been done in just 3 terms, really, you're actively in your third term now. You go from that 0.5% earning when it comes to interest income. Now we're up near 4.5%, 5%. I know you gave some credit elsewhere, but there's a lot of good coming out of it. And I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us here today.
Well, Grayson, I want to thank you for having me on. We know that when people hear about these programs, they're not always top of mind. When they do, they're much more likely to go to my website at illinoistreasurer.gov, check around, and we end up returning more money. We end up helping more families, getting the tools they need to invest in themselves. And so I'm happy to always be on with you when I have the opportunity.
Well, thank you kindly. I appreciate that. Again, Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks. Visit illinoistreasurer.gov for more information. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Israel's defense ministry says Israel has hit Iranian government sites in Tehran, including the notorious Evin prison. Iranian missiles also finding their way to Israel. As for the American strikes, damage assessment is underway now, but it does look like the attacks were highly effective. Stay alert. Don't let down your guard. The State Department's advice to Americans, as well as U.S. interests abroad. There is concern about the potential for retaliation from Iran. More than 190 million Americans across the country in the grip of an extreme heat wave spreading from the Midwest all the way to the Northeast. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 164 points. This is SRN News.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jason Walker. Many basketball observers are saying it was one of the best championship series in a long time. One of those where it's a shame that one team had to lose.
WTIM.
This is Grayson Bauman reporting. Pana Community Hospital Foundation is looking to give away prizes to their community before hosting their 32nd annual PCH Foundation Golf Scramble. From now until the end of June, area residents can enter for their chance to win one of 4 prizes through the foundation's summer raffle. Tickets are $10 and are open to anyone for purchase. Melissa Reibel, Executive Director of the Pana Community Hospital Foundation, details the raffle and how to get your tickets.
Yeah, so Pana Community Hospital is doing our summer fundraiser right now, and we have acquired 4 great raffle prizes. Anyone in the community can purchase raffle tickets for $10 each for a chance to win one of the 4 prizes. This is, we hope to, have it be a pretty good fundraiser for us this summer. We'll be selling tickets through June 30th. So the tickets are available at Pana Community Hospital Foundation. They can contact me, give a call here at the hospital. I'll make sure that they get their tickets. They could, always email me. We also have Pana Community Hospital Foundation on Facebook. So a lot of people will message me that they need a ticket on Facebook, on our social media page. So there's a variety of ways to get tickets. We also have 14 board members, and our board members have tickets as well. So it shouldn't be too hard to get a ticket in your hand.
As for the prizes, a 28-inch Blackstone griddle and Cardinals tickets highlight the 4 potential winnings.
Okay. So first of all, we have a Blackstone grill. I think these are becoming very popular with people that love to grill and everything. It's a 28-inch griddle, and it comes with an accessory